Welcome to our digital marketing talks, where experts in the field share their experiences with students at Tamwood. In this video, the Senior Growth Manager and Lead of SM, Haley Johnson, provides valuable insights on how to build a career in paid media and become a successful digital marketer in Canada.
Hello everyone, I'm Haley. I was sitting in your chairs only like 3 or 4 years ago, so I'm pretty new to the industry. I feel like it should be pretty relevant for all of you. So any questions about landing a career, your first role, what it's like, the industry in general, I'm your girl. So I'm going to talk first about me, my journey, how I got here. So I was actually one of Carson's students at BCIT. I did my marketing communications diploma there. After my diploma, I actually graduated in March of 2020, which is when COVID hit. So I lost my internship, which was actually a part of our program. My program lost all their internships, so we didn't really have that work experience to get ourselves into the industry. It really required a lot of just grit and forcing my way through. So Major Tom was actually my first agency industry job. I was supposed to be their intern. So I'd been scouting them for about a year, taking them out to coffee, different people on the team, making sure that they know my name. Even like people in web development that had absolutely nothing to do with marketing knew my name. They were talking about me at lunch. So that was the goal. So about for 8 months after graduating, I finally got reached out from HR and they said, hey, we're interviewing and we just can't think about not interviewing you. We know you don't have the experience, but it's been 8 months that you've been bugging us for a job. So hopefully we can make something work. I went through 4 rounds of interviewing. And at the end, they actually ended up going with me over a more qualified candidate, just based on the fact that I got there, I knew everyone, I had already fit in basically with the company. So it was really important to them to have a work-life like culture fit for that company. And so for me, it worked. I got in, and that's where I started. So I started as a coordinator. Typically, you'll start as an intern when you start, but they gave me a little bit of a leg up there, thanks to BCIT and Carson's instruction and all that grit getting that first role. So made it to Major Tom as a coordinator. I worked up my skills there. Major Tom is a full service agency. So that means they do everything from web development, marketing, organic marketing, paid marketing, basically everything. So I figured that would be a great place for me to go, learn, build my skills, and it definitely was. I was there for just about 2 years. So I worked my way up to a strategist before I left. One of my biggest tips throughout this presentation is going to be building your brand, your personal brand. And that means having your LinkedIn profile just absolutely perfect. So for my next job, I actually got scouted. I didn't have to give them a resume. I didn't have to write a cover letter. They came on LinkedIn, they asked me for a chat, and I said, hey, yeah, sure, I'll have a chat. I was kind of pissed off at my agency at the time. So I was like, whatever, why not? See what I can get. And they offered me actually 30K more than I was making. So that was a pretty easy switch. It wasn't just 30K, it was 30 days paid time off. There's a lot of perks to that role. So yeah, I actually got in without having to give them a cover letter or resume, and I actually haven't updated my resume since my first role at Major Tom, which was kind of awesome because I don't know about you, but I hate writing resumes. I hate cover letters. And the more you can get your experience to speak for itself, the less you're going to have to do that. So once I finally made it to Kulin, they actually hired me on as a senior growth manager. So essentially that means managing paid media for quite a few clients, teaching the juniors on the team about paid media, standardizing processes across the agency, making sure everyone's doing things right. The big switch from Major Tom to Kulin was Major Tom was an established agency. And with that, there's always going to be processes, structures. There's good and bad to that. It's great for learning, but it also means you kind of hit a growth ceiling and you can't really grow much more. So I decided to take a gamble and go over to a startup, and that's where I'm at now. And I've learned a lot. Just in the last year, I've been there a year now. I've learned so much. I've made so many connections, and this is definitely a role I think that could be interesting for you guys. So I'll tell you more about what that actually means. But first, I want to get us all on the same page of what is paid media. Paid media is content promoted through paid placements. So that's basically anything, could be Instagram ads, could be influencer ads on TikTok, could be a banner ad on Google, or just when you're scrolling on a page, you'll see the banner ads on the sides. That's also paid media. So I'm going to show you some examples since you guys have never been on the internet and you don't know what paid media is. So this is one example. This is a Meta ad. Ironically, it's Reddit advertising to advertise on Reddit on Meta. Here, this is an IG ad. So these are all paid placements. What's interesting is that these images that you see here, these are just square images, right? These are likely showing across like 15 different placements. So when you're actually building this ad, you're building it with a square image, a portrait image to fit your phone, and also a 16:9 image, like a YouTube screen, like a big screen. So all of these ads, it's not as easy as it looks, but when you look at it, you're only seeing a little bit of the picture. Another example would be shopping ads on Google. So this is a lot of what I do. Basically making sure that my clients' shopping products are showing at the top of searches for both non-branded and branded queries. This is a good example. You can see Lululemon's up there, and then they obviously think I've got some money because they've got some Bottega up here. Not a fit, but that's because I lie to Google about who I am. Another example, Google search ads. So again, this is a really big spot. I'm sure you've all in this room done a Google search before, so you know what those look like. They're usually at the very top of the results, probably starts with shopping results, sometimes maps results. Even if you're looking in your phone and you're searching for, like, say, VCIT, an ad might pop up for a different college. And that's because of paid media. So what does that actually mean? I remember when I was in school, I didn't know what paid media was, or even when people came and told me about their job, I didn't really know what that meant. So a lot of my day today, it's client communications. So sometimes clients they know what they're doing, and you really just have to give them the facts, and it's pretty straightforward. Sometimes you have clients who, this business is their baby, and they see one day's performance is absolute trash, and they sound the alarms. And so my job is to calm them down, walk them through performance, and get everybody back on board. So a lot of my job as a senior is putting out fires, troubleshooting, and basically trying to make sure that fires don't arise, especially with junior team members working with clients as well. A lot of my job sometimes is actually interrupting my junior team members and taking the conversation over just to make sure that we maintain that client relationship. I also work on a lot of strategy and new business pitches, which is one of my favorite parts of the job. We have new clients come in, and typically I get to audit their accounts. So usually that's an opportunity for me to not only see like what agency's in there, who's in there, what they're doing, what they've tested, but also to kind of throw them into the flames and gain some new business. So in my audit process, I usually look for mistakes. I look for big money wasting mistakes, and I bring those out to the clients and I say, with us, you could have saved $1,500, $10,000, depends on the budget. A lot of clients, it could be up to 90K. I had a business pitch last month where they could have saved 100K had they been with us just 3 months sooner, just because of poor advertising, poor optimization, and listening to reps for Google or for Meta that are there to increase your spend and not get you the best performance. So a lot of that is walking it back and making sure that our clients are getting the best, and that's my job. A lot of that too is campaign management and optimization. So there's Meta ads, Reddit ads, Google ads, but search engine marketing, which is Google, Microsoft, all of those guys, that's kind of my bread and butter, and that's where I focus. So yeah, search engine marketing. Another big part of my job is reporting and presenting. So this isn't really new to me. I haven't been in person for a while, which is new to me. But presenting is basically, I have like 10 presentations a week with clients. It varies, but a lot of the times it's just going over monthly results, quarterly results, weekly results, making sure that everyone's on the same page, or maybe it's a new strategy presentation or a pitch. A lot of my job as well is mentorship. So with juniors, a lot of the time is I get people brand new into the industry. They come in, they want to learn about the job. A lot of that is teaching them what they can do, get them exercises to get started, and then mentoring them as they go. It's kind of one of my favorite parts because I get to put myself back into the student role and kind of learn from their perspective. And I feel like a lot of the time too, working with juniors, I learn more. Recently, I've been working with some juniors that are a little bit more social focused on my team, and they have some crazy creative ideas to test in Google that I just wouldn't think of because it's just not the way that my brain works. So there's a lot of value to working with juniors as well, and I feel like this is one of my things too, is I get to give back, speak to students, and it's kind of one of my favorite parts of the job. As I mentioned earlier, troubleshooting is a big part of my job. So that's again putting out client fires, making sure that everyone is doing well, we're hitting targets, the clients are happy, and my team is happy, and everyone has what they need to do their job. Some of the brands I've worked with here, I'm sure you can at least recognize one. Put your hand up if you recognize at least one of these brands. Okay, which one is it? TransLink? TransLink? Anybody else? Salvation Army. Any other recognizable ones up there? No? Okay. That's pretty good. Yeah, I would hope that you guys would know who TransLink is. You're all students in BC, so you're likely taking transit. Yeah. Cobb's Bread, they're a bakery. They're awesome. If you ever get their scones, they're really great. And they're not actually a client of mine anymore, so I'm not getting paid to say that. One of my clients too was Seneca College. If any of you are familiar, I've also worked for some educational institutions, and Seneca is basically the BCIT in Toronto. That's what I like to call it. I'm not sure if they would appreciate that, but that's what it is to me. So there's a lot of different ways you can work in paid media. For me, I'm in the agency world. So that means I'm working across multiple different brands and I'm gaining experience across many different industries very quickly. And that's what I like about working in agency. It's very fast paced and there's always something different. There's also some perks that are kind of nice. But the downside to that is that it's fast paced, sometimes stressful, and you really do have to put boundaries in place to manage that work-life balance. Burnout in this industry is real, so you got to take care of yourself first. Another way to work in paid media is in-house. So that would be working for a specific brand. So instead of me managing TransLink ads agency side, I would actually be working for TransLink, managing their ads in-house. The difference usually with those in-house roles is it's usually more of like a jack of all trades type of deal, usually working on a lot more than just paid media. So it's a little bit harder to specialize, but you get a lot of a more vast experience, I guess you could say. And then there's freelance. I wouldn't recommend doing this unless you're experienced, you know what you're doing, because there's a lot of ways you can do it wrong. But if you know what you're doing, you can make a lot more money. You work for yourself, you make your own hours. So really, life's your oyster. Perks. Everyone wants to know what the perks of working in agency are. For me, my number one perk is that I work from home. I have a dog. I like to take him for walks during the day. I like to go to the gym at lunch. That work-life balance for me is huge. I don't go in the office. They tell me to go in the office. I don't have to because my work is remote. So that's one major thing. I see a couple nods here. Work-life balance is huge. And if you can get a remote role and you like working remotely, that's major for me at least. Also, sometimes you can get some tickets to events, some wining and dining from sales reps. And again, that's agency specific. So if you work at an agency, a lot of reps from other like programmatic media vendors, they're going to take you out for dinner. I've been to Minami. They've spent ridiculous amounts of money on us, get everything on the menu, and basically just try to keep you in mind so that when you are picking advertisers or you're picking channels to advertise on, you might think of them first and wonder, you know, what kind of perks you might get from them next. Obviously, you always have to put your client's interest first, but those are some nice perks. I've had a few Canucks games, lots of different things I've been to, and it's definitely one of the best parts of the job. It's also a fun learning environment. I know everyone says that, but for me, it actually is. Agency usually it's quite younger. A lot of people are quick, fast-paced, and really with the times. So you don't really have to like explain to the boomers what's going on, I guess. Everything's just, you know, we're all on the same page. I also get to work with some really cool brands. So at Major Tom, we did a lot of those big ones like TransLink that you guys saw in Salvation Army. Those were fun, but I specifically now work with e-commerce brands only. So that's someone selling a product online. And for me, that's the most fun. I get to work with CEOs and founders that have created one product and built their business from the ground up. And that's something that's really inspiring to me because I'd love to be a business owner myself one day. And it's one of those positions where you get to meet a lot of different people, learn a lot of different perspectives. And for me, like one of my clients was Only Curls, and they're based in the UK. And they actually started their business from $15 on their kitchen table. And they started with one curl hair product. It was like a curl gel. And I guess in the UK, it's not big on having curly hair or curly hair care. And they're now like a multi-million-dollar company. So just in 2 years, they grew from like $1,000 spend monthly on advertising to like over $300,000 spend on advertising in a month at the end of it. So it's really big. We're working with really cool people, and that's one of my favorite parts as well. Also get to develop your skills quickly, working with a ton of different brands across different industries. You get to just move through the reps so much quicker. I feel like in-house, I mean, I'm biased, so take it with a grain of salt, but I feel like in-house, you're focused on one brand, so you can kind of get siloed a little bit. But I like agency because I get to learn everything basically all at once. It's not for everybody, but for me, definitely. And then you're always doing something different. So whether it's working with different people, different projects end, they close, clients leave, we get new ones. So nothing's the same. And I think one thing I really knew that I didn't want to do was have the same day over and over, like Groundhog Day in my career. So agency was the best for me. Those are the perks. Now, my tips for landing your first role. It's hard. It's rough out there, but you just have to be persistent. So my number one tip is always networking. They say it, people hate it. I know I hated it when people said it in school. I was like, oh God, please, just no, absolutely not. If you don't like doing it in person, you don't have to. You can do it on LinkedIn, send nice messages to people after presentations, connect people when you meet them in person. It a little goes a long way. Like, for example, I kept in contact with Carson. He actually got me my first paid media project, and that's what helped me land my first job. So keeping those connections can really get you far. Number two tip would be turning fails into wins. So there's a lot of times you're going to be told no. A lot of interviews, they just might not go the right way. I remember when I was in school and I was dead set on getting that Major Tom internship. And I remember somebody told me to be prepared if I didn't get it because I was so dead set on it. Luckily, I got it, but then it got thrown out because of COVID. So I had to kind of take that loss and pivot. And of course, in a time when everyone's laying people off from their businesses, they don't have budget to hire brand new people with no experience and gamble on you. So I had to take a few months, lick my wounds, and then get back out there. And that's the best thing you can do is just figure out what you can take from it as a learning, apply it, and move forward. Number three, staying on top of trends. If you're not on top of trends, you can very quickly fall behind in this industry. For example, this year, I've recently just started specializing in Google and Microsoft, and I feel like I'm already years behind in social media already. It happens that quick. So staying on top of the trends, keeping yourself, following creators that you like, that have that content that keeps you interested and keeps you learning, that's one of the most important things about getting your first role. So networking, got to network, turn those fails into wins. If you fail, sucks. Be sad about it for a day. Give yourself time to process, move on. And then number three, staying on top of trends. One of the most important things. And I see a lot of people in my industry who, they get in, they do the same thing over and over. You kind of fall out. Like there's a lot of people at my agency who are like now finding themselves in manager roles where they're only managing people because they actually have no idea what's going on with the platforms anymore. And they just don't have that experience anymore because they weren't doing it day to day. So you got to stay on top of it. My advice, number one thing is work-life balance. You've heard me say it before, I'll say it again. Valuing that work-life balance is huge. A lot of people get burnt out, especially when you're new and you're trying to land that first role. Sometimes, you know, you're working your side job, you're not sleeping, you're just running yourself into the ground. For me, I just never did that. And I had, even in BCIT, I had teams who wanted to meet on the weekend for projects. I was not going to do it. For me, work-life balance was huge. I just made sure that I got everything done when I needed to get it done so that I had that time to invest back in myself, hit the gym, do the things that I know that can keep me sane. Really important. You have to value your work-life balance. Otherwise, your body's going to shut down and it's only a matter of time. 2, double check everything that you do. Never set a budget and then don't look at it. I've seen this happen with so many juniors, and they set the budget, which is supposed to be a daily budget, and they set it at 10K. That's the monthly budget spent in like the first 3 hours of the day. Double check everything you do. And if you've been staring at it too long, get someone else to double check it. It's always better to double check than it is to make a mistake. If you make a mistake, just own up to it, move on. Everyone does it at one point. I did it. Luckily, my friend caught it, and it was only a couple of hours. Not much spend was noticed, and it wasn't a big deal. But I've also seen it where it's been like $60,000, and our agencies had to reimburse a client, and that was huge.
I did it before.
Yeah, it happens. And then 3, show eagerness. The whole reason why I got my role was because I was eager. I just kept asking for it. I kept telling them that I would do anything, whether that was getting people coffees and starting as an assistant or actually doing the job. Obviously, I wanted to do the job, but got to get in somehow. And that's how I got in there. Just hound them on LinkedIn, connect with the HR manager, connect with everyone on the team, tell them how much, you know, you just want to connect for a coffee, buy them a coffee. It goes a long way. Thank you all.
Yeah, and thank you guys online. Great to have you join us, even if you're just like right on the other side of that wall. But that's cool. And thank you, Haley, very much for hanging out,
For sure.
spending your night with us today.
For
Thanks,
sure.
everybody. We'll call that a session. Thank you.
Awesome.